can you explain about how to apply to Oxford? And maybe in this you could share some information about what you did to prepare your application, or maybe what support was really helpful to you in making your application.
I think I'll kind of just talk about the application process from like kind of personal statements and that type of thing. For me, I mean, obviously, also for humanities, but for me as an English student, it's also very important to have a personal statement which reflects your writing style. And I think a lot of people who don't do humanities, because I'd given it to a teacher who, I think he did like he did a set, I can't remember the exact one, but he did a STEM degree, and so he was kind of saying like, these sentences are too long, this is flowy language, da 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 da, more flowery language, but like that was how I kind of wrote, and so I wanted to get that across. So it's also important to get other people's views on your personal statement, but also make sure it reflects your writing style, which is kind of like, I mean, the crux of an editorial kind of process. But I made, the first thing I kind of did was make a little, or throughout the year I'd made notes or in a little book of like any lectures or anything I found really fascinating. And then when it came time to make a personal statement, I'd written them out in a big long list. And then from there, I kind of, because I thought I was going to do history and English degree, I did a kind of list of everything which makes sense for history, makes sense for English, and realized the list for English was about 4 times the length of the one for history. So I realized, okay, maybe I'll just do English. But then from there, I made sure to number everything. So in order of what I wanted to speak about in my personal statement. So when I started slashing my personal statement, I still had like the 3 or 5 things that I really, really, really loved and really wanted to talk about. And I don't know, in terms of structural guide, like a guide for structure and stuff, I use the student room. I mean, that you'll hear that kind of be said quite a lot. But I just wanted to, especially for English, because I mean, again, this is obviously quite specific, but I didn't want to get bogged down from reading personal statements that said, oh, I've read every single book ever in the entire universe, when it's like, I know I haven't. So I wanted to just make sure that I was being authentic throughout the entire process. And then, yeah, after personal statement, I also made sure my written work application was something that I enjoyed and I wanted to speak about in the interview, and kind of just, yeah, prepared for the admissions test the same way I would for any other kind of unseen literary extracts test that I was luckily already preparing for my A-levels. And then, yeah, kind of spoken about the interview already, but just made sure to bear all the other bits of the process in mind before the interview. So making sure that I was familiar with my personal statement, with my written work, and want to just enjoy the interview as much as I could.
For medicine, it's slightly different. I feel like, so I did my personal statement of like STEM subjects in general. So I started my personal statement in July, and I remember just drafting it at that point and just going over what I wanted to put in there. And I feel like for medicine specifically, I feel like in your personal statement, it's important to reflect upon your work experience rather than just state, oh yeah, I've had this work experience, I've done this, I've done that, but rather reflect upon it and explain why you think that was good for you and what you think you got out of it. I think that's what really shines through in a personal statement and really like shows the tutors that, yeah, you're really interested in your subject. But also, yeah, like research and books, anything that you've read, put that in your personal statement. That'd be really good. Also, like preparation for the BMAT, because the BMAT you have to do after the application deadline, and it's difficult because you don't know whether or not you're going to do well in that. But it's just making sure you don't start preparing too early, but not too late, so that your peak is like perfect. Maybe like 3 or 4 weeks beforehand, I would start doing like hardcore revision for the BMAT, and then hopefully if you get an interview, then you start interview prep, which is quite a lot to go over, and just reading and personal statement revision and the books that you've read, just go over everything once again, and even like trying to find which tutors would interview you, like go on the Pembroke website, have a look, do your research, and yeah, hopefully you'll be fine.
Yeah, so in terms of preparation, in terms of like starting for my personal statement, I kind of focused on linking like the importance of the study of history to contemporary events. So I looked a lot on like colonialism and like racial politics. But yeah, I was linking a lot of the historical events and that I that I kind of wanted to look at, or like was really interested in, to the contemporary events that were going on when I was writing my application, and why it's why history has kind of like a broader use outside of the discipline as well. So I think it's always really important for you to focus on not always, but like it's I think tutors also very much value if you can understand the uses of the subject and like the relevance of the subject across other areas as well. I think it shows like your interest, and it also shows that you're able to kind of research outside of your current A levels, or like IB if you're doing IB, because I doubt those types of things would be featured in your current curriculum. So in terms of other types of preparation, I think I kind of just went over like topics that I really liked, and topics that I really liked, and as Nic and Iza kind of said, like I researched tutors that might interview me, and I had already gone to Unique, so I kind of had an idea of like what Pembroke was going to offer. And stuff like that, and yeah, that's what I kind of like put in my application. That's how I prepared as well. Oh, and I also very much focused on what I liked about the history faculty in terms of what I would kind of want to pursue, like in terms of modules. So it's also really good to look ahead in terms of the modules that you might want to pick, because it shows initiative to the faculty themselves. So it shows that you're thinking ahead and you're really, really passionate about the subject.
I think that's really, really great advice. I really liked many of the points you made. I think the only thing I would add two things. So maybe when thinking about picking a topic for your personal statement, I know for me that the history I studied at school was quite dry. So it was largely the history of World War I and World War II, and I wrote my personal statement about medieval queens because I'd been watching the Philippa Gregory TV adaptations, and I just wanted to know more about that, and that's how I kind of picked a topic. So then I looked in like the back of like a popular history book about the Wars of the Roses and found a more kind of academic book, and it started kind of growing from there. And I think tutors are really interested in people who are generally interested in stuff and finding out more and showing that initiative. And I also looked on the faculty website to see what tutors would offer that at Oxford and what courses I could take. And another piece of advice I would give is, if you get to interview, the first question that they asked me at least was, what are you reading at the moment? And so I would just say, like, if you're kind of, they're really interested to see people who are like reading a lot, and reading is a really important, because you'll be doing so much of it at Oxford. So if you can kind of take a book to interviews with you that you can talk about, I think that would really be to your benefit.